Am I the butthole for having a meltdown when my fiancé proposed with an onion ring? Ever since I was a little girl, I've dreamed of the perfect proposal. You know, something romantic and thoughtful, like in the movies Candles, Flowers, maybe a scenic view. My fiancé and I have been together for 5 years, and we've talked about marriage plenty of times. We both agreed that when the time came, it would be special and memorable. I even showed him subtle hints about the kind of engagement ring I like, nothing to fancy, just something simple and meaningful. I thought we were on the same page about what this moment would mean. Last weekend, he told me he had a surprise planned and took me out to our favorite restaurant, a cozy spot where we had our first date. My heart started racing with excitement. Could this be the night? The evening was going well. We laughed, reminisced, and enjoyed our meal. Then, as dessert arrived, he looked nervous and reached into his pocket. My pulse quickened. He got down on one knee, and I could feel everyone in the restaurant turning to watch. But instead of pulling out a velvet box, he held up an onion ring. Yes, a literal, greasy, deep-fried onion ring from his plate. At first, I thought it was a joke, so I chuckled awkwardly, waiting for the punchline or for him to pull out the real ring. But he just smiled and said, "Will you marry me?" He looked so sincere that it took me a moment to realize he was serious. He even slipped the onion ring onto my finger, and I could feel the warm grease running down my head. I froze, caught between disbelief, embarrassment, and disappointment. The entire restaurant had gone silent, and the weight of the moment hit me like a ton of bricks. This was supposed to be a beautiful memory, a story to tell for years to come, but instead, I was holding back tears and fighting the urge to run. I started crying, half from shock, half from the overwhelming feeling that this moment, one I dreamed of for so long, felt like a poorly executed prank. My fiance's face fell. He stood up and asked why I couldn't just enjoy the moment, accusing me of being ungrateful and materialistic. I tried to explain that it wasn't about the ring itself, it was about the thought behind it, or rather the lack of it. We had talked about this so many times. I didn't need a huge diamond, just a gesture that showed he understood how much this moment meant to me. He snapped that it was just a ring and that what mattered was the sentiment. I felt trapped, embarrassed, and crushed. The other diners were whispering, and I could feel their eyes on us. I couldn't take it anymore and ended up leaving the restaurant in tears. He followed me out but was clearly upset and muttered that I'd ruined everything. Since then, he hasn't spoken to me much, aside from accusing me of overreacting and caring too much about appearances. He's also told a few of our mutual friends about what happened, and now I'm getting mixed reactions. Some say I was being shallow and should appreciate that he proposed at all, while others agree that it was thoughtless and kind of humiliating. I've been playing the scene over and over in my mind, wondering if I really was wrong for wanting more thought put into such an important moment. I don't want to seem materialistic, but I also can't ignore how hurt and let down I felt. Am I the butthole for having a meltdown when my fiancé proposed with an onion ring? Or is it reasonable to feel hurt in this situation?